Good evening, scholars, and welcome back to the Restricted Collection, a podcast about tabletop games. I'm your host, the head librarian, Chad, and today's episode is related to Arkham Horror, specifically the Arkham Advertiser Miskatonic Flood Alert Edition. So, for those who are not in the know, Fantasy Flight Games has, they've got two of these now, but this is the first one that I'm aware of. These fake newspapers that they've had at events. This is Miskatonic Flood Alert, imminent risk to life, citywide evacuation. The first time that I was aware of this is at Arkham Con 25, where these were part of the freebies that FFG had brought along, or was it the year before, at BusterCon. But it was in promotion of, well, it had to have been 25 because of Drowned City. I'm sorry, regardless, whenever I received this exactly, it is a 4-page little newspaper thing that is mostly for fun. Like, yeah, fine, they've got advertisements for, Lovecraft Letter. I can talk. And, the Arkham Horror role-playing game, by and large, this is just a little newspaper that they were giving out. And I don't know how prevalent these are, but after receiving the second one, which was about the fires for Brethren of Ash, I sat there and went, it might be fun to read these for anyone who hasn't had a chance to see it, or for people who prefer things in an audio format, because when I've perused through them, I've enjoyed that, and I was figuring that, other people might enjoy the same. So this episode, in all sincerity, is just going to be, a couple minutes of me justifying this, the legality of this, which I'll get to. Then I was just going to read the newspaper for my own enjoyment, and for the posterity of putting it into another format, and hopefully for your enjoyment. I will, make comments as I want to make comments, but yeah, I just figured I'd, make it through the whole thing, or if it takes me longer than I thought, make it through half of it, and we'll just go from there. So if that's not your speed, I totally get that, but that's my plan. So to the legality of this, if we're being thematically technical, this is a newspaper. It doesn't have a date on it, but the newspaper, Arkham Horror, is set in the 1920s, and according to every single copyright resource that I can find, because of the 96-year term on copyrighted materials predating the 1978 Copyright Act, any newspaper published prior to January 1st, 1931 should be in the public domain at this time. So from a thematic point of view, there is no legal issue for me doing this. If we are going to argue that it is in the public domain for some reason, I am going to cite one of my favorite Supreme Court cases, because of course I have one of those, International News Service versus Associated Press. That is 248 U.S. 215, and it's from 1918, shortened to INS versus AP. This is an interesting case for anyone who wants to go read it. That is about news information, because typically factual information is not copyrightable. Actually, I should be more plain. Factual information is not copyrightable. It's not usually, it's always. Facts, recipes, that like stuff, not copyrightable. However, this case determined that there is a quasi-property right. Oh, I love how vague that is. There is a quasi-property right due to one's effort or investment in obtaining the information. It was a dispute over one news agency who was actually putting the time and effort to report on the events of World War I, and another news agency who was just re-reporting the facts that the first agency put the time and effort into getting. So there's an argument that I'm just re-reporting the facts here, and I'm dealing with that. In a more realistic sense, there is a clear Copyright Arkham Horror, Fantasy Flight Games. This newspaper has copyright 2024 on it. Clearly, the actual copyright date on this piece of media has not expired at this time. I can make an argument that what I'm doing is transformative, which would get me around any copyright issues. I can also argue that I am using it under fair use. I guess the moral of this story is, dear FFG, please don't sue me. I like you. The Arkham Advertiser, your daily news source serving Arkham, Kingsport, and the Miskatonic River Valley. Weather forecast. Today, rare sun, high of 65. Tomorrow, rain, high of 71. This is the Arkham, Massachusetts Early Edition. Costs 5 cents. 4 pages. Headline: Miskatonic flood alert. Imminent risk to life. Citywide evacuation. Editor's note: in light of the United States Weather Bureau announcement regarding the impending rainfall, Arkham City Hall has elected to use the Arkham Advertiser to provide information to our readers in the event of severe flooding and other environmental disasters. Please check daily for additional updates as the story develops. Flash flood fears. See map, page 2. The United States Weather Bureau has forecast a series of intense storms to strike the Miskatonic River Valley throughout the next 5 to 7 days, with expected rainfalls ranging from 3/4 inch to 2 inches per day. Total rainfall is expected to exceed 8 inches, with certain forecast models predicting over a foot of rain. These storms will be accompanied by heavy winds, intense lightning, and flash flooding throughout the region, particularly along the Miskatonic River. Citizens should expect downed trees and power lines, as well as other significant storm damage. If you are in any of the following areas, please evacuate immediately for higher ground: Arkham Merchant District, particularly areas along the river docks; Rivertown, particularly River Street, near the Black Cave and the Arkham General Store; and the Woods near Uptown. Other areas may be issued evacuation alerts based on the progress of the incoming storm and flood levels. Citizens with motor cars are encouraged not to drive, as high water may result in vehicles being swept away in flash flood conditions. Alderman Sarah Howells spoke regarding the severity of the impending storms, saying, "Our citizens must realize the true danger that these floodwaters represent to them as individuals. Please, for your own sake, get to higher ground, avoid high water areas, and keep your families safe. Your life is worth more than your business, your house, or your possessions. Those can be replaced. You cannot." City Hall and Arkham Police Department have established several safety stations, providing food, fresh water, medical supplies, and shelter from those displaced by the storm or evacuating because of the flood risk. Continued on page 2 with flood plan diagram and safety areas clearly marked for your attention and action. I will spare trying to describe to you this map, but it is taking up at least a fourth of this page and is quite detailed. Impressive. Continued from page 1. These safety locations are the following locations: South Church and South Side, Arkham Historical Society in South Side, Miskatonic University Student Union at the Miskatonic University, and the Palace Movie Theater downtown. Arkham Fire Service, medical staff from St. Mary's Hospital, and Arkham City Police Department have already been stationed throughout the city. While located in a flood zone, Schaffner's General Store has also received extra stock shipments of food and supplies to help with storm relief efforts. Community members and those choosing to stay within the flood zones are also gathering here to disperse news and lend help. In the events of extreme flooding, citizens are encouraged to use major thoroughfares, especially if the roadway is cleared from floodwaters and debris. Recommendations include avoiding Water Street, River Street, Boundary Street, and Aylesbury Street, as well as other roadways running parallel to the Miskatonic River. Steer clear of crossing the river in the event floodwaters overwhelm the bridge supports holding up the roadways. Regarding future repairs, for those worried about property damage, Arkham Public Works Maintenance Supervisor Gregory Bayerson noted, "High winds, excessive rain, and flooding all have the capability of bringing down even the largest trees. Leave cleanup to the professionals, though. If you do have storm damage that requires an urgent remedy and are able to notify us, we'll do our best to make our way to you as soon as possible. We expect a big job, but we're up to the task." Residents are advised to look for city notices posted at City Hall and the shelter locations. Further updates will be provided by the Arkham Advertiser, with additional printing as permitted by the weather throughout the storm's duration. Listen for instructions and refrain from taking any unnecessary risks through the duration of the flooding. Above all, your life and well-being matters most. Somnambulist scourge strikes St. Mary's Hospital. Arkham citizens have been left with more questions than answers following a recent and brief joint press conference by Mayor Charlie Kane and representatives of St. Mary's Hospital senior staff. Despite the terrible storms and rainfall affecting the region, Arkhamites have become alarmed about the rise of a new disease currently coined the sleeping sickness. The sleeping sickness is characterized by insomnia caused by recurrent nightmares before the victim falls into slumber that they cannot be awakened from. Despite the press conference, few solutions were offered in terms of treatment, and no cure is available at this time. Numerous citizens have provided testimonials that their friends and family have been affected by the sleeping sickness, and that it has gotten more prevalent as the unusual storms and worrisome rainfall began to impact Arkham. St. Mary's Hospital staff have confirmed more than a dozen initial cases with the affected individuals. Continued on page 3. Having been transferred to St. Mary's long-term care ward, the first case emerged when a family couldn't wake their loved ones in the early morning at one of Arkham's many boarding houses. Despite claims that these cases are outliers or caused by the stress of the relentless storms, with the populace at large being safe, most cases have been identified within French Hill and Southside. However, rumors swirl of entire families stricken with the sleeping sickness within Arkham's poorer tenements. With evacuation notices in force, many fear for those afflicted families who might face dire consequences and loss of life due to this unknown and currently untreatable illness. Dr. Carolyn Fern, a consulting psychologist from Arkham Sanatorium, working with St. Mary's head physician Dr. Roger Montemore, provided a degree of insight into other illnesses, but no direct links have been identified. The sleeping sickness affecting Arkham seems to stem from a disruption in the body's natural circadian rhythm due to creations of the mind. In other words, nightmares of an intense and personal nature. These nightmares somehow, well, for lack of better term, haunt their victim in such a way that their body finally shuts down into a sleep that is impossible to be awakened from, even when the victim is put under appropriate duress. The African sleeping sickness has visible symptoms when identifiable, and quarantine can be effective. The unrelated sleeping sickness sweeping through Arkham happens with seemingly little warning, making it difficult to treat in the early stages or even identify who could be impacted next. This is simply something we've never dealt with before. Despite this, St. Mary's Hospital has issued a list of symptoms to watch for while monitoring family and friends for this illness. Excessive tiredness and fatigue, insomnia caused by nightmares, dulled emotions and low reactivity to stimuli when awake, headaches, aching joints, difficulty in waking up. Dr. Morgan Higgins, a visiting epidemiologist from Boston City Hospital, provided guidance for Arkhamites concerning the spreading illness. The best way to avoid any illness is to limit exposure. Stay within homes, postpone social engagements and interactions with large groups of people. If you must leave your home, consider wearing a cloth mask to avoid airborne particles, which might contribute to infection. Do your best to avoid close contact with infected individuals while still showing compassion. Be patient, be prudent, be safe. While Dr. Higgins' advice is admirable, this reporter notes that such actions are difficult to enact during Arkham's current crisis, flood evacuations, and storm warnings. Luckily, Mayor Kane stepped in to alleviate citizens' fears from Dr. Higgins' clinical suggestion. I urge Arkhamites to continue to contact St. Mary's Hospital for help if they find friends, family, or neighbors who have succumbed to this sleeping sickness. St. Mary's remains outside the flood zone and can appropriately provide the needed care. While a cure has yet to be found for the sleeping sickness, Dr. Mortimer encouraged hope. We have the best minds in the Miskatonic Valley working on treatment options. Simply because we don't have the answer yet doesn't mean it won't be found soon and found quickly. Keep your loved ones safe and dry, and we'll make sure they stay healthy. That's a fun. I personally rereading that one. I liked the flood one. That one was but the sleeping illness one pairs very nicely with that. Reading it now. Miskatonic University and Kingsport Hall School collaboration brings Academy unity. This past weekend brought together the meetings of the minds of scholars and select students from Miskatonic University and the Kingsport Hall School for Girls as they hosted a joint symposium in an ongoing effort to advance anthropological study within the Miskatonic Valley and the Massachusetts coastline at large. The symposium marks the start of a new ongoing collaboration and the beginning of a visiting school program between the two institutions, which hopes to establish a long-running relationship between the Miskatonic Liberal Studies Department and simultaneously encourage young women interested in pursuing anthropology at a collegiate level. Apologies. The brainchild of Headmaster Nelson Miles, the symposium featured joint bus trips along the Innsmouth coast, presentations from the Arkham Historical Society from professors and instructors. Continued on page 3. As well as guided display featuring artifacts on loan from the Pawtucket and Massachusetts peoples of the Miskatonic Valley. Headmaster Miles hailed the event as a massive success, stating, "We always relish the opportunity to build partnerships with the greater community. The faculty and staff of Miskatonic have provided our girls a rare opportunity, which I know they will treasure for the rest of their academic careers." Hall School Professor Cecil Blackburn served as one of the presenters for the symposiums, providing a brief overview of his findings regarding migratory flight paths along the Innsmouth coastline. "I couldn't turn down the opportunity to share my own findings and theories with these students. One can find some of the most strange and interesting things on our coastline. These young women collectively represent a new generation in learning, research, and advanced ideas. I cannot wait to see what they're able to uncover through their own academic pursuits." I feel like I should know the name Blackburn, but that doesn't... Cecil Blackburn sounds like someone I should know, but maybe it's someone I don't know. More trade ships disappear in South Pacific. U.S. Naval Command Search and Rescue has confirmed that a fourth ship, the MV Relentless, has gone missing in the South Pacific Ocean. The Relentless set sail from Manila, the Philippines, and was bound for Viña del Mar, Chile, with a cargo of textiles. However, contact was lost with the ship shortly after its departure from port. No SOS or distress signals were issued from Relentless, leading many to question what could have caused its sudden and unusual disappearance. The vanishing of Relentless marks the fourth such strange disappearance in the South Pacific in recent months. These disappearances have included the U.S. Navy destroyer Preston and the MV Leviathan, a cargo ship based out of Innsmouth Harbor. In all cases, no trace of any of the ships have been found. The Advertiser has contacted naval officials, but no official statements have been made beyond the initial confirmation that Relentless has gone missing. No plans for retrieval or further investigation have been identified. Ah, yes, the MV Leviathan, a cargo ship based out of Innsmouth, you say, going missing in the South Pacific, you say. Huh. Wonder what's up with that. Deaths. Edith L. Berrycloth entered into rest August 6th, adored wife of John Berrycloth, deceased, mother to John Jr. and Edith, and grandmother to Mary and William, retired nurse at St. Mary's Hospital, funeral to be held at Congregational Church in Dunwich. Dr. F.W. Angrisel, sent to our Lord September 13th, relentless misanthrope, will be remembered for his monograph on shadows and for frightening Aunt Susan. Funeral to be held at South Church on Tuesday at 11:30 a.m. J. May. And to be clear, that is J. period, and then May. At Peace, August 29th. Reliable first mate and much missed sailing companion, possessed of remarkable percussive talent with spoons, lost to African sleeping sickness shortly after docking in Arkham, returned to sea for eternal rest beneath the waves. So even though this didn't give a date, we have a death on August 6th, a death on September 13th, and a death on August 29th. I'd say this is, fall of whatever year this is. Violence unleashed on Arkham streets. 14 individuals have been arrested following a string of violent incidents and a wave of rising disorder in Arkham. 2 nights ago, the Arkham Police Department were called to the scene of a massive brawl in Southside in response to reports of numerous gunshots. While those arrested were held for questioning, no official charges were filed. These arrests mark a worrying pattern of increased crime and violence throughout Arkham with seemingly little consequence. Other such cases include a heated argument outside Bayfriar Gardens, which led to a dangerous automobile chase through French Hill, followed by seemingly targeted arson, which ruined several homes and business properties. Arkham Police Department Deputy Dingby was approached for comment, but directed this reporter to City Hall's official statements regarding violence, bootlegging, and organized crime within Massachusetts, noting this is a problem not only in Arkham. It seems that Mayor Kane's hand-appointed alcohol task force has little impact on containing the continued and immense influx of alcohol into the city. While no confirmed link exists between bootlegging and the increased violence previously described, Advertiser investigators uncovered only 22 arrests have been made throughout the task force efforts without even a single charge to date. Despite a recent late-night sting operation victory for the task force, where a newly arrived freight train was raided, more worrying evidence has come to light. The crates of confiscated alcohol, disguised as medical supplies, were identified as originating from Boston, and it seems some of the city's gangs may now be active in Arkham. Unfortunately, until the investigations of Mayor Kane's task force lead to action, Arkham citizens should remain vigilant for their own safety. Classified advertising. Now hiring. Overnight receptionist for Innsmouth's prestigious Gilman House Hotel. Previous experience preferred, but needed at short notice. Wanted. Portrait artist. To faithfully capture essence of beloved yet aged feline, the Baron. Ideally, local artist. See Oliver, Old Curiosity Shop. Flotation devices sought. Boats, punts, coracles, dinghies, river rings, large branches, etc. Fair prices paid. Contact Stan via calling card in Schaffner's store window. Buy one, second discounted. Adult-sized coffins in Scandinavian pine due to accidental overstock. High-quality, fresh-smelling final place of rest for loved ones and strangers. Contact the Duterte Funeral Home until end of the month. Spotted. Unusual dog. Large, dark, furried. Breed undetermined, possibly hunting hound. Heard howling at night near Arkham Woods. Ask for Pete at 118 Boundary Street for more information. Wanted. Ford Model T. 1921 model. Must be purple. Excellent condition only. Urgent. Call Oscar at 148. Miskatonic Playhouse presents Deaf, Dumb, and Blind. A poet wrestles with his senses. Energetic and terrifying. A quote attributed to the Arkham Advertiser. Performances daily at Ward Theatre, 7 p.m. Train timetable changes. Miskatonic County local services. Arkham Kingsport reduced to single train, 20 minutes past on even hours, only till 8 p.m. All tickets remain valid. See ticket office for further inquiries. Large quantity of stationery, mostly unused, wide range of letter, writing, papers, envelopes, assorted postcards, pens, stamps, discarded by guest Mr. Trombley, Excelsior Hotel. Personal. Was that you hiding behind the cemetery wall? Was it you in Bayfriar Gardens whose voice I did hear call? Leave word at Arkham Advertiser offices marked X for the memories. Vivid dreams and nightmares? Tell me. Renowned psychologist seeks research pool of ordinary people with extraordinary nighttime visions, no mere oneiromancy. This will provide important scientific research materials into the least explored area of human experience. All stories welcome. Contact Barbara, secretary to Dr. Carolyn Fern at St. Mary's Hospital. There's some interesting things in there. Model T that has to be purple, even though at the time they were infamously black. We have another mention of the gardens, the Bayfriar Gardens. Mr. Twombly, who is the guy at the front desk in Excelsior Hotel. Interesting stuff here. So that's all of the big stuff. There's some little advertisements around in the corner. For example, Schaffner's General Store, freshly stocked with essential flood defense supplies, sandbags, water pumps, candles, nails and boards, shovels, fishing gear, axes, canned goods, licorice, nets, ammunition, fresh water, umbrellas, buckets, waterproof, and more. your port in the coming storm. In another corner, there's the First Bank of Arkham. Choose securities for an insecure future. Save now for a rainy day. Open a bank account with just $1. Okay, that's funny. First National Bank of Arkham. There's some actual advertisements. So as I said, there's the time has come. Cthulhu has awakened, and Arkham will never be the same. So for the drowned, yes, this would have been the fall of 24. But yeah, for the drowned city. There's also one for the Arkham Horror line of miniatures and Fanatic with some of its Arkham Horror stuff. Ordo Vision. I mean, I figured if I'm gonna go through and read all of FFG's copyrighted material, I might as well also read note their advertisements. The new book at the time for Arkham Horror was The Forbidden Visions of Lucius Galloway, a visionary poet, an occult tome, and a sinister conspiracy. Prepare yourself for the terrors of the drowned city. Then there's the comic books that were coming out from Dark Horse Comics. Here's, I think, adventurous individual required to aid renowned academic in the search of a lost pirate ship that sank off the Innsmouth coast some 70 years ago. No wages, but the potential for a share of any recovered treasure, hazardous working conditions, and constant threat of danger guaranteed. Not for the faint-hearted. Experience of working at sea, an advantage but not essential. Apply to Dr. Stella Addison, Gilman House Hotel, Innsmouth. And then there's an advertisement for Consider Kingsport for Recreation. Charming seaside entertainments on famed South Shore Boardwalk. Visit the Kingsport Caverns, explore Central Hill's fine architecture, stroll the harborside, and see views from the causeway. Boardwalk, beach, and fairground, Kingsport, South Shore. And that is a notice from the Kingsport Tourist Bureau. Going to the final page, there's an advertisement for Tillinghast Esoterica and Exotics. Rare books and curios bought and sold by appointment. Seek and you shall find us. Ever look at the sky and wonder what's out there? Wonder no more. Attend our next talk at Miskatonic University's Gerald Warren Observatory. Thursday. The stars are right. I like that. Tales from Nevermore, the magazine of chilling tales from realms beyond the waking world. 15 cents. Coming soon to your local newsstand. Proudly published by Miskatonic Hobbyist Publishing Company. Don't be a lush. Keep it hush. See something? Rumor mongering and spear-fretting with unverified gossip is no way to protect our city. Think before you speak. Be certain or stay silent. Say nothing. This is very small text. This message brought to you by the Arkham City Police Department and the Miskatonic County Sheriff's Office. There's another note on the seen something newsworthy, surprising, exceptional, or alarming. Contact the Arkham Advertiser offices in Northside. Discretion and anonymity guaranteed. Then, as I said, there's the Arkham Horror role-playing game, the Lovecraft Letter. I don't know why that is so hard for me to pronounce. The Welcome to Arkham book, available now. The official visitor's guide to Arkham and the Miskatonic Valley towns. And then the final thing in the corner is your advertisement could be here. Improved sales, hire staff, lost and found, personals, and more. Contact April May at the... Really? The person's name is April May? Okay. Contact April May at the Arkham Advertiser sales desk. Reasonable rates and discounts available for repeat advertisers. No notice too small. So, as I said, I enjoyed perusing this, and it's something that, to my knowledge, isn't really available to the wider public. So, for anyone else who is interested in what this newspaper had to hold, and I'm planning on getting to the other one eventually, but it's a lot of effort went into this that, quite frankly, didn't need to. Like, it's just a 4-page newspaper, and yeah, sure, in total, the real advertisements take up like one full page if I add them all together, but that's still 3 pages of this fake newspaper that are just doing world building work. I didn't know about Charlie Kane's alcohol task force until I read this. And I'm not going to, as I said, I'm not going to describe them, but to have a full map of here's the safe places, it's a full map of Arkham. Here's the safe places, here's the shaded areas that are being flooded. Just like there's a lot of effort that went into this. And I just wanted to highlight that. So I hope you enjoyed this. I enjoyed this. If you want to get in contact with me about anything, as always, feel free to reach out to me at therestrictedcollection@gmail.com. Otherwise, you can find me around as Head Librarian Chad. And yeah, see you for the next one. Thanks.